So the answer the following: to know the level of understanding of identity theft and the aware of it. All of you keep answering these. Keep the answer yourself. No, not required to disclose. At the end, we will have an analysis to conclude the level of you know about the identity theft. So take the quiz below to determine your risk of becoming an identity theft victim. Answer each question as follows. If you answer for one, I never do this. If you answer for two, I rarely, every once in a while, do this. If the rating is three, I do this about 50% of the time. Four, if you identify you as a four, I usually do this. Five, I always do this. Rate yourself in these quiz questions. Don't disclose to others because that is also identity of you, and you are telling about the your weaknesses of awareness. The higher your score, the fewer opportunities you are providing for identity thieves to steal key pieces of identifying information or for evidence of identity theft to go unnoticed. So I will share this copy in the chat window for your later reference. Uh, you can download and answer and keep ready the questions. So I'll give the 5 minutes time to answer this and I will be back. Do it now. All of you participate in this quiz. Checking for evidence of identity theft. Dash. I check my credit report from each of the three major credit bureaus: Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion annually to look for errors and evidence of identity theft. If already you are doing practice of checking credit scores of yours, since you are a student, probably you never done this one. If you are an employee or the businessman, usually you are going to check the credit reports with these companies. So in this case, rate yourself either it is 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. Keep yourself ready with the answers. The second question: I review bank and our brokerage account statements when they arrive to reconcile the balance and to check for unusual transactions. Whether I will do, never do, or rarely, or most of the time, or usually, or always. Rate yourself either second or third. If you downloaded that copy, then you will get the question and answers. So for the second, you mark the answer, keep ready. We will do analysis for that. The third question. I save credit card receipts and check them against statements received from creditors. I do not leave them in shopping bags where they can get lost or stolen. Then fourth one, rate yourself 1 to 5. Which one you do usually? I know the approximate billing cycle for all of my credit cards and utility bills, example cell phone, and call creditors immediately if bills are not received within a week of the due date. I know the approximate billing cycle for all of my credit cards and utility bills. I know the approximate billing cycle for all of my credit cards and utility bills. So and call creditors immediately if bills are not received within a week of the due date. These four questions belongs to checking for evidence of identity theft. The remaining two questions, destroying sensitive personal information. Destroying sensitive personal information. I use a cross-cut shredder. Shredder means tear off or divide the personal information. I use a cross-cut shredder, fireplace, or wood stove to destroy pre-approved credit card offers, bank or brokerage statements, old pay stubs and tax records, credit card receipts, and other sensitive documents. So 1, never do this. 2, rarely. 3, 50%. 4, almost always. 5, always do this. The next question, I destroy or shred or burn everything that contains information of interest to identify identity thieves, including utility bills, personal correspondence, cancelled checks, expired credit cards, etc. Mark it. Okay. The next set of questions is asked on limiting access to sensitive personal information. Limiting access to sensitive personal information. I avoid giving out my social security number like Aadhaar card or bank account numbers to unsolicited callers or orally where others may be listening. The next question, I have a post office box or a locked mailbox for incoming mails. The next question, I place outgoing mail in a secured collection box along the road or at the post office, not in an unsecured home mailbox or rural route mailbox along the highway. These questions ask for limiting access to sensitive personal information. Rate yourself. Then I have my mail head when I am away or picked up by a trusted friend, neighbor, or family member. The next question. I question how personal information will be used before revealing it to anyone and try to just say no where possible or ask to use another type of identifier. I repeat the question. I question how personal information will be used before revealing it to anyone and try to just say no where possible or ask to use another type of identifier. The next question is, I am cautious about not leaving personal information lying around my home, especially if it would be accessible to a roommate, babysitter, cleaning service, home contractor, etc., who has access to my home when I am not there. The next question, I avoid carrying my social security card in my wallet as well as any type of identification card with my social security number or my spouse's social security number on it. Next question, I avoid printing my driver's license or SSN on personal checks. Next question. I limit the amount of personal information out there by not completing internet profiles for rebates and contests and being cautious with online resume posting, electronic mailing lists, secured sites for online purchases, listing in whose guides and other public data sources. Next question. These questions all about limiting access to sensitive personal information. I limit the number of credit cards and other identification information that I routinely carry around in my wallet or purse, and I do not routinely carry around my checkbook. Next question. I am aware of who has access to my personal information at work or places I do business with and have taken steps to question or limit unauthorized access where needed. The next question. I cross out my credit card number or bank account number with a magic marker on receipts for travel or other expenses that I submit to an employer. This is very important point. Whenever you are submitting identity to anybody, like your college ID card, including college ID card, Aadhaar ID, PAN, if any ID card like DL, before submitting to any authorities or the persons, mention the what for you are submitting that document to them. You are required to mention. Otherwise, there is a chance of misuse of your personal documents. So this question is very important to be answered. Note yourself whether you are marking that or not. Answer for it. I cross out my credit card number or bank account number with a magic marker on receipts for travel or other expenses that I submit to an employer, charitable or professional organization or other entity for expense reimbursement or for documentation of any types, example taxes, product rebates. The next question, I am careful about completing postcards. Example for product warranties, contests, etc. and place them in envelopes if they contain sensitive information. The last question, I practice general security consciousness by not leaving my wallet or purse unattended, even for a few minutes. Example at dances or on supermarket carts. Zipping my purse shut, buttoning my back wallet pocket, and putting house lights on timers when I am away. Also using secure door locks, leaving questionable sensitive information spaces blank on applications, storing important papers in a safe deposit box, not using bank deposit slips or paycheck stubs for shopping lists, and keeping a list of credit card account numbers and contact information to report a loss quickly. Now count how many number of one you obtained, count how many number of two you obtained, count how many number of three, four, and five you obtained, count it. Count yourself how many ones, twos, threes, fours, and fives are obtained. And calculate the percentage of ones obtained. Suppose if any of you obtained ones of 10 ones, 10 by 20, calculate percentage, 50%. If somebody obtained 2 as 8, calculate 8 by 20. If you are obtaining 3s as 5, 5 by 20. Okay. So calculate the percentages. Okay. Now analyze against the percentage you obtained whether your records are sensitive personal identity is in safe or in dangerous or needs to be precaution needs to be taken care. So now if you are able to obtain total scores. Do the total scoring. If you obtain the points between 80 to 100 points, you have demonstrated a higher than average awareness of the risks associated with identity theft. Congratulations. Do not let your guard down. However, identity thieves are always out there looking for their next victim. Means if you marked for most of the above questions as 5, 4, means always avoiding to submit the sensitive document like that. If you marked, if you are obtaining score between 80 to 100 points, so you are most of the time you are most cautious about your before sharing the personal information to the outsiders or the other agencies. Suppose if you are obtaining the score between 50 to 79 points, you have indicated some weaknesses in your security consciousness, which increases your odds of becoming the victim of identity theft, especially if you have good credit. Pay particular attention to the quiz questions that you answered with a 1 or 2. If you answered with 1 or 2 options, you must be taken care about your personal credentials, which is going to be shared over the internet or offline. Okay. So if you are obtaining between 0 to 49 points, you are at high risk for identity theft. Start shredding sensitive personal and financial documents immediately and pay more attention to ways that you are vulnerable to having your personal information stolen. So either if you answered if more number of 1 or more number of 2 in your quiz quiz answers, then you are vulnerable to uh, lose the sensitive information. Okay. So any one of you, if any questions are there regarding the identity theft risk assessment quiz, you can ask me. How much vulnerable you are, you identify yourself. Okay. Getting? So most of us, including me, so most of the time, 1, 2, 3 usually are the score we are going to get. Most of the time. The reason is we are not caring about our personal information. We are not caring much about our ID card. Unnecessarily we are submitting to the document whoever been asked from us. Immediately, without second thought, we are submitting, we are sharing. All these things will happen, right? So try to recall where and all you submitted your identity cards, including your voter ID, driving license, Aadhaar card, TC, transfer certificates, phone number, contact number, email ID, etc. Okay? Is there any questions regarding this? Any questions? Did you went through the quiz or not? While taking attendance, there were 54 students were there. Now attendance sheet is showing 44. Those who are present today for 44, I'll give the attendance. Remaining, no. 56 were there while taking attendance. Now 44. Did you participated in this
No, sir.
quiz? Because this quiz is important for you to make you understand
That's
the
right.
importance of ID theft. Most probably we are losing our identity. Most widely we are losing our identity. One or the other way we are losing every day. Sharing your information, sharing with your friends, close friends, roommates, allowing them to access your personal laptops or desktops. These are all looking like simple, but it will be end up with the it will be end up with losing your credentials. So don't think that today if I submit Aadhaar card for any purchasing or the attachment as a document proof for banking or something, some financial institutions, don't think today they have collected what they are going to do today itself or tomorrow. Don't think in such directions because still you are alive. Your Aadhaar is unique identity given to you. Your PAN card is unique identity for taxpayers. Your employee ID is unique identity. Your medical records are unique. Your educational records are unique. See, these kind of information, if you share by ignoring them, you may not be the victim of the hacker today. By tomorrow or the next day of the tomorrow, probably you will be under the prey of hackers. Okay, so that's why be careful while sharing the personal documents. Fine. Identity theft. So what is identity? Already I discussed. This is a revision for you. Since after a long time, we discussed the fishing related concepts. So identity theft is a one kind of internet fraud, online or offline fraud. It involves someone pretending to be someone else to steal what for money or get other benefits on behalf of your roommate, on behalf of your friend, on behalf of your faculty friend. You are going to use their credentials for your beneficiary. It becomes an identity theft. The person whose identity is used can suffer various consequences when he or she is held responsible for the perpetratory actions. If someone uses your identity to commit a crime, either online crime or the offline crime, if your ID is going to disclose in the committed spot of the crime, then the law is going to suit you. Law is going to inquire you about the crime which the commit has happened, either offline or online. Even though if you lose your identity, you will be punishable in the such situation. The person who has done the commit the crime may be escape from that by providing your identity in that spot. So that's why be careful by revealing your identities over the internet, especially social networks. If you are if you are in the offline of the social network, also your identity is going to be revealed by your friends and close mates. If you think, I sir, I don't want to be internet anymore from today onwards, but so far what you've done in the internet, all the identity already revealed for many peoples. Either it may be a professional networks like LinkedIn, or it may be a social networks like Instagram, Facebook, wherever it may be. So ID theft, those who do the ID theft, it is a punishable offense under the Indian Act, section 66C and section 66D. If you are impersonating a person as claiming as original, then you will end up with committing a crime of identity theft. So according to some of the statistics which is searched over the Google search engine, I'm able to obtain this information for the especially Indian consumers. Out of 5 Indian consumers who consumes and who buys or who purchases the items on the internet, out of 5, 2 of the Indian consumers facing experienced identity theft. Means out of 5 people, 2 are going to be a prey of hackers. Approximately 2 to 45% of the Indian consumers is facing the identity theft. So around 14% of these victims were impacted in the past year alone. Among those two, 45 percentage, again 14% of the people already victim, they were already the existing victims for the hackers. Remaining 27% million Indians adults experienced identity theft in the past 12 months. See how much serious issues are there by disclosing your identities in the public places, whereas internet or either offline or online. So according to the US, there is an agency called as Federal Trade Commission. It provides some of the statistics during the year 2009. Most of the fraud of identity theft happens like as below here. The more than 26 percentage of the identity theft on credit card fraud. So whereas 17% bank fraud, producing the fake identity to the banks while obtaining the loans or credit card information by submitting the address proof or electricity bills of some owners or something to gain the monetary benefit from the bank fraud. Such kind of the things happen around 17%, whereas employment fraud happens 12%, government fraud happens 9%, loan fraud happens 5%. Among 66% of victims, personal information is used to open a new credit account in their name. If there are 100 customers are using their credentials to open the bank accounts or the new credit accounts, among that 66% of the things are fake and are compromised personal informations. And 28% of victims personal information is used to purchase cell phone service, to buy a new phone for purpose of committing crime on behalf of your name, on behalf of your father's ID, because most of our parents are illiterate in the case of phone usage, since they are providing their credentials in the agricultural offices, like they are submitting for taking panis and all, because they don't know much about the personal information revealing and misuse of it. Most of the time they are submitting, they are asking some other to recharge their mobile phone by handing over their mobile phone to them to recharge their accounts. That person is good enough, that is fine. If not, that person is going to steal some of the numbers from the mobile phone. He can going to misuse those numbers. Some of the phone content he may going to hack, etc. Whatever he can do once the control is given to him, right? So that's why we need to create an awareness among the public, the parents who is not known much about the smartphone usage and all. And 12% of the victims end up having warrants issued in their names for financial crimes committed by the identity theft. Say because of somebody using your identity to commit a crime, you will be get sued by the cyber law. You will be under trouble. Okay, that's why be careful before sharing the credentials to the public. Some of the myths of identity theft is there. Suppose, sir, if I am off the line, I don't want to use internet. Whether I am safe? No. If I am not sharing any personal information to the outsider world, whether I am safe? No. Why? Because these are the following myths are there in identity theft. One is there is no way to protect yourself from identity theft. So you are feeling that there is no way to protect your identity theft. Is it true? No. By taking some preliminary precautions while sharing the documents to the agencies or the charities or the financial institutions or the educational institution, if you take a little precautions before submitting them, the purpose of submission, if you are marking them on the documents, there is a chances of protecting yourself from the identity theft. As a second myth, identity theft is only a financial crime. No, it is not financial. Sometimes pornography kind of the hacking also happen. It is not only financial game. They are going to identity theft to what we call it as to damage your trust, to damage your status in the society. Also, they are going to commit the identity theft. It's not only financial crime, it is for damaging of the even image of a person outside the world also. It is a committing identity theft. The third myth is it's my bank's fault if I become a victim of identity theft. You cannot simply transfer the blame onto the bank, because most of the banks taken care of the security measures by providing the sophisticated security controls like two-factor authentication, OTP, password protection, password wallet, etc. Because of your ignorance, if you are giving up your OTP to somebody, if you are giving up your OTP to somebody, it is not bank's responsibility. That is your responsibility. If you are under the threat of the identity theft, so you cannot simply transfer the blame onto the banks and all. So the next is it's my bank's fault over, right? It is safe to give your personal information over the phone if your caller ID confirms that it is your bank. Usually banks won't ask over the phone about your personal information. So always remember, no financial institutions will ask the financial related personal identity of yours over the phone. So if somebody is asking, means you just ignore, you just ignore, you just ignore them, okay, or you just report as a spam call to the service vendors. The next, checking your credit report periodically, because you are not a employer. So usually employer or employee will get a credit reports, because if you are a taxpayer, then you can check yourself about the identity theft, whether it is happening frequently. Usually thrice in an year, if you do credit report check, then you will identify anything, whether it is identity is under my identity, it is under threat or not. You will come to know that by checking the credit report. The next myth is my personal contact information like mailing address, telephone number, email address, email, etc. is not valuable to an identity theft. So you don't think by giving up your personal details like uh, email ID, telephone number, or mailing address. By giving up, also somebody is going to misuse on behalf of you. Suppose if you are living in Bangalore, but if you are given up your address of your native, somebody is going to visit to your native home and claiming that is a friend of your son or daughter. So I need some of the money, so I lost my pocket. So there is a chances of such kind of fraud might happen by disclosing your personal identity to the unknown persons. And shredding my mail and other personal documents will keep me safe. No, again it is no, because most of the places already we have given up our credentials, like while taking registration with admission with the colleges. Most of the time you might submitted all of your documents relevant to your personal information. So even though if you keep safe also, sometimes the colleges might reveal your personal information so over the internet by because they are maintaining your personal information database. So when they are connected with the internet, again it is a vulnerable to attack. So you cannot think I am very safe, I am not revealing any personal identity in this world. No, most of the time already we revealed all the information. Now the time is to think, use our common sense to how to use, how to prevent the misuse of already available our personal information over the internet. So rather than simply sharing the status over the Facebook, yeah, I am there, I am here, not, so sharing your personal like wedding anniversary, birthday, instead of sharing those things over the internet, be careful, use your common sense to prevent to share your personal information. So the next myth is I don't use the internet, so my personal information is not exposed online. If you don't use today, the also your information already you have given so far so many years. Whether you know or you do not know about the identity theft, already you shared. If you today onwards, if you are not using, so still your personal information is revealed. So social, if anybody are thinking that social networking is safe, not at all, because you, as you aware that phishing attacks happen as you written in the answers of a particular person. You already mentioned that phishing is happening on social engineering also, right? So as you aware that social networking is not safe at all, then it is not safe to shop or bank online. Then you cannot say it is not safe. It is all about your common sense, how you are going to use the services over the online. These are the myths you need to be aware of before sharing your credentials to the public or internet or offline. This is all about some of the identity theft related discussion. If anything, any questions are there, let me know. So otherwise, again, I will be back with some of the phishing countermeasures and identity theft related personal identifiable information. Any questions? I hope I made you understand. No response.